Hello. Oh Lord, is that my camera? That's so shady. Oh Lord. Alright, that's gonna have to do. Oh, for God's sake. That'll do. Okay. Hello. Welcome to Etheria Begins. My name is Charlie. Thank you for joining me. So to get the title of the video, I pulled 3 cards. We have the High Priestess, the Empress, and Justice. So you are on a path that is intuition-led. With the High Priestess, you are going where you are told to, not where you know. So we are following the uncomfortable, unknown. I feel like many of us have been stuck in, well, we're not stuck, it's all a choice. We've been choosing cycles of the familiar, uncomfortable, instead of going into the uncomfortable, unknown. Now we're finally doing that. Oh, Lord. Now we're finally doing that. I go off through the deep dark. You see she's under the light of the moon as well. She's got a mirror. Some introspection will be required, regardless. You go on this journey, and then boom. Full sun, the Empress, bounty. You are going off to find your abundance, and you're going to find it in places where you are not comfortable. I'm hearing you don't feel like a master, which you don't have to be. You know, I'm seeing the fruit in her basket, and most of what I'm thinking is you don't have to be masterful to tend a garden. You just kind of learn as you go. Maybe your first year's harvest is not the most bountiful that you could ever have. For instance, I grew tomatoes this year. I didn't know caterpillars love them. I didn't know that. So I thought I had these big, juicy tomatoes waiting for me, and you turn them around and some little bastards enjoyed it before I got the chance. But next year, I know, and I still had tomatoes this year. Do you know what I mean? So next year I get to have even more tomatoes, because this year I sacrificed tomatoes to the caterpillars unknowingly. I don't feel like that analogy tracks that well. Maybe it does. I don't know. This is going to be a wobbly video. I can feel it, but I'm just going to go with it anyway. Next up, we have justice, balance. So when you are in a place of this cultivation, this abundance, you're learning how to guard against the caterpillars. You're learning what to do if you see caterpillars, all of this sort of thing. This is going to be so difficult. I can hear my team just going, keep going. You finally get the justice you deserve when you push yourself far out of your comfort zone. At the bottom of my justice card says balance. So from what I'm understanding, if you're anything like me, which if you're here, you might be, I'm understanding that you're keeping yourself in the known uncomfortable, and it is a place of scarcity. I dare say poverty, but more poverty mind than circumstance. Things are tight. Do you know what I mean? And when you move from this place gradually through that unknown, and this is your threshold where you start getting results, and it moves all the way over, and now the scales can tip. And now you can have things like material abundance, but also an abundance of peace, an abundance of health. What you will learn through the cultivation is so much more than money, which I understand a lot of people say this, and it's like, yeah, cool, but I really do want the money as well. And that's fine. That's fine. We need money to thrive and survive. It's just money is options. Do you know what I mean? But money is also, in this circumstance, vital. And I don't think that's something we need to be ashamed about. It's like, oh, it's not about the money. Like in many cases, it really is. We don't need to be ashamed of that necessarily. Do you know what I mean? So let's find out more about this. Let's have a look at the connecting pieces. So what comes between the High Priestess and the Empress? What is our best route through these? Okay. One more. Okay. Okay. So regarding the uncomfortable unknown, we have the Four of Cups. I think it's the Four of Cups traditionally is about not being, in my eyes, I think it's about not being ungrateful, seeing how much you have laid out before you already, instead of becoming disgruntled with what's being offered. Understand that what's being offered is what leads to the next and the next and the next. There are going to be steps in the process that you do not like. And I think actually when you get to them and when you get doing them, you will understand that actually you really enjoy them. What you don't understand is what you don't appreciate is the idea of these things. Like this man's got a jug and he's looking at it very solemnly in front of this waterfall, and there's like a goddess taking a sip from her cup, and his little plants are starting to sprout. In my deck, it looks more like he's admiring the water. Do you know what I mean? Like he could never own the whole waterfall, but he has a jug, and that is actually enough to water these few seedlings that he actually has. So what does that mean? Maybe you're in a place, because next to it is the Ten of Pentacles, where you really have everything to show for it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you want that bit first. Like if it isn't the clothes in the house and the material possessions, or for some people I think this is like educational courses, private education. If it's not that, you don't want the drips and drabs, you want the whole waterfall. One feeds the other massively. And you can't skip that bit. So in between these two, I've done them in like, you get it. So from the High Priestess through to the understanding of progression, you then move into the Nine of Wands, the breakthrough. It's finally looking at what you've built and understanding the true importance of it and the true importance of all the nitty-gritty work that you have had to do. And once that foundation is set, then the true abundance starts coming in. I've been thinking about this business in terms of, I know that what I offer has a great deal of value. I'm currently just not very comfortable offering it. I don't want to, actually. I do want to. No, that's not true. I want the reward of offering my value, but I don't actually want to share my value because it makes me very uncomfortable. But where I am is uncomfortable, so it makes no difference. Regardless, the way that I've been looking at this venture is nothing. I know it will work once all the foundations are laid, right? But how is anyone meant to know until the foundation is set and the door is built and open? How will they know? They're gonna know. No. How will anyone know? How will anyone reach me? Do you know what I mean? So I have to go through the trials and tribulations of setting my foundation and learning, like, that's not good for the foundation. It will just fucking sink. And it's like, okay, try again. And then building a door, and the door needs a good lock. And if the door is going to have a fucking lock on it, then I need walls, you know? And I hope this analogy tracks to whatever you are trying to build and whatever value you are trying to offer out. Do you know what I mean? Damn, I even forgot about getting the space ready to even build. That was long. That took me a year to get this ready. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have no idea. So after the breakthrough, I'm not there yet. I'm definitely still 4 of Cups, so this is interesting for me. After the 4 Cups, you have the 9 of Wands, and you get the breakthrough, and you understand how your soul has very much been leaving you breadcrumbs to follow, and suddenly it all makes sense why you couldn't just have a whole loaf of bread, because you would have just sat down. Do you know what I mean? You would have sat down and eaten the loaf of bread you had. Same. So you have to have kept going, and it's all about progress. It's all about progress. Like, it's this idea of you want to be transformed, but you do not want to go through a transformation. It's not optional at this point. Like, let go or be dragged is how it's feeling. It's not presenting that way, so I do think that you are complying, you're listening. I don't get the sense that this is too unpleasant for you, because you're now in the space of, I'm going to be uncomfortable either way. I might as well be uncomfortable in a beneficial direction, you know. And then you have the the Pen of Pentacles. No, the 10 of Pentacles. So things really start to become obvious, become seen. My man is literally, or my person, this could be either way really, emanating, absolutely emanating, and people recognize it. Well, that's interesting. We kind of go from the shadowy moonlit night of the High Priestess, and the sun comes out at this breakthrough. Do you see that? That's the first time we see the sun. And then the sun comes behind the head, and then the sun lights the whole way. So the sun really is about to rise. So if you're still not feeling like this is going to work, that, you know, soul is just going to leave you hanging and let you down, that's not the case at all. But every every choice is more powerful if you actively choose it. It's not something that's just thrust upon you and you have to deal with it. It's far more powerful to make the choice yourself. So you are still being guided, you are still being led, but you're also being invited to initiate these steps yourself. And I feel like that also multiplies the reward. Oh my god. What? Sorry, my monitor for my child is behaving very bizarrely. Regardless, okay, so what connects? I'm gonna have to sit all the way down because my feet are going numb. I look tiny. Oh, hello, now you can see some of the cards. All right, this is fine. Okay. Halfway there. I promised myself half an hour, and that's what I can manage. That's what we're going to do. Let's get on with it. What connects the Empress to justice? 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Honest to God, it is the strength to cut out the things that are not serving you and the things that you have felt reliant on. It's the relationships that you have that are actually a tap on your energy. We have got Empress, Strength, Five of Knight of Pentacles, and Justice. So you come to this is the same message. This came up a few days ago, actually. So now you're in a stable place, and you're able to feel connected to yourself in a very positive way. You're able to feel your power. Now you have that deeper sense of love and appreciation for yourself and your soul. Then you can more readily identify the things that are actually very limiting to you. And these are things that you're actively engaging in. They're not necessarily things that like, this is so fucking toxic, this is so evil. I feel like it's much more nuanced than that. This can be your relationship with exercise, food, other people, money, material possessions. For some people, I get the sense it has to do with ego and using your ego to bolster you when you're lacking genuine self-esteem, which makes sense. The moon just came up. So maybe this is the moon and the Two of Cups. So maybe it's connections within yourself that you actually haven't been able to recognize yet. You won't recognize until you're in a more stable place. This very much feels like, ooh, oh, look at that. Yeah, exactly. Okay. It will be to do with self-deception and worry, but this reminds me of what's called masking in food intolerance. So if you don't know you've been intolerant to something your whole life, and then you do an elimination diet, and suddenly all these symptoms go away, and you feel your baseline of health suddenly makes a massive jump. It's like, I didn't realize I was all the way down here. Do you know what I mean? And suddenly you're up here and you didn't know that was possible. This is the sort of thing that you're going to go through. You're going to identify just a few things, not that many. I don't feel like they're major. Just be very small changes in your degree of trajectory that will get you onto your highest timeline. I don't think you're meant to know what this is, because this is the moon, you know. God knows, literally, no one else. You will be drip fed this leading up to it, but you probably won't fully catch it, fully make sense of it. It will be brought to your periphery. You'll probably fade out again and then kind of come in front and center. So then you move up into the Knight of Pentacles, and you're not trying to rush anymore. You're not trying to prove anymore. You're on a very solid foundation, and you feel very secure in your movements, the way that you are, your plans. You probably will start to make more complex plans, ones that suit you, and stick to them. Nothing is going to be done out of obligation anymore. That's what I'm hearing. Everything will become extremely intentional. So how does this feed into the title is what I'm now asking myself, because it's about the feminine emerging. There are a lot of feminine cards here. This is true. This is true. I have to assume a lot of the people that are going to watch this, if anyone watches it at all, will be a feminine. Even if it's not. Do you know what I mean? Oh. So much expectation is placed on the male and the female. And in this case, I'm really getting the sense that the masculine side of you is doing his job. You know, he is progressing in a way that is healthy, you know, and the thing that's really the limiter is the feminine. So the feminine needs safety. And if you're not, sorry, I'm shuffling the cards because I'm nervous. I don't know if it's distracting or not. The feminine requires safety because she is vulnerable. You know, if you are constantly in this state of like, I need to cut off and chisel out this part of myself and then I can be better, and then I need to just completely burn that piece off, and that can be, these things can be appropriate, but when you've been like chiseling and cutting away and sanding down and disregarding for so long, it gets to the point of you're reinforcing this idea that you can never be good enough, and that to have the balanced argument, yes, everyone is capable of improving in certain areas at all times. That is true. But when it more becomes just this rolling conviction, you know what I mean? This never-ending accusation of your not enoughness. Now that is something else. It's something else entirely. And I don't think a feminine energy, neither can thrive under that circumstance. But I think you're so used to just getting on with the work and the doing that you found a way to do that that's healthy. The actual limiting factor right now, if you allow one, is the emotional state and the emotional experience. Okay, so I was doing really well with getting on with my products and my website and my health and just the whole thing. It's not just this business that I need to have running smoothly. It's the entire setup. It's my life. And across the board, it was all going really, really well. I can't remember why the fuck I brought this up. That's why. And I actually decided to do a bit of personal regression. I really did. Wasn't really sure why I was doing it. But as I've gone through the experience, I've realized my intention was fantastic. The energy that I was bringing to it was dog shit. It was horrific. It was all out of obligation. It was all out of because I have to, and I can just fucking never do enough for the cause. It was very off-putting, to be honest. You end up with a stick up your ass constantly. You can't relax. Every fucking day you've failed, even if you've gone further forwards. And I feel like that this is what this is about. This is about coming out of that space and learning to recognize when enough is, in fact, enough, and that it is a a process of 1%. And if you try and rush this experience, you will miss out on so much. There are seeds that have to be planted at certain times, right? So if I notice that I have bald patches in my garden outside of my grass, there's no way if you put grass seed down right now that it's going to thrive. It will be eaten by the birds that are here because it's cold, and it'll just die. You won't get anywhere. You just keep buying these seeds and fucking putting them down, and they'll keep freezing because it's not the right time. It's knowing how to cultivate and when. Right? That's the nuance. You are perfectly capable of cultivation. Right? You're capable of the fact. Can you be capable of the process? Can you respect what that is? And if you're like, well, that doesn't work for me, I want it done quicker than that. And it's like, well, your problem isn't that you can't get it done quickly. Your problem is your expectation. It's not realistic. I swear my soul is only having me do these just I'm going to be like, read myself to filth for as long as it takes. For what though? Balance? All right. I do hope that people don't find it's the sun again. This was the conclusion of my last reading. It's going to be the same reading over and over again. Just different. Oh, God, what's the word? Refractions of the same message. This really wants to come out. Okay. We're going to finish it up. So, All right. Judgment, the 7 of Swords in reverse and the 10 of Cups. So you're learning what is and what is not true about yourself. What are the things and the lies you've just absorbed from other people? What are the things that people didn't even say? You just assumed that they thought that and made it about yourself. You're basically just telling a horrible story about yourself to yourself the long way. And you believed it's true, is what I'm getting. And it's time to really look at yourself in a neutral way and understand that it's just not the case. You are not this person that you've painted yourself to be. You're more. And I think for some people that makes you seize up because it's like, but the accusation, the condemnation, it's all true. Is it? Or is it just like hugely emotionally charged? And when you feel that emotion very, very strongly, it feels like it must be true. But it isn't, objectively speaking. And you can probably find a case for I was going to say you can probably find a case for both arguments, but in some cases it's not true. You can believe the most bastard things about yourself, and it's like there is really no evidence for this whatsoever other than the intense feeling of it. So I feel like you're actually building a picture of yourself that is accurate, complimentary, some people might say. It allows for grace and it allows for joy, and then you experience that, and then you have 10 of Wands. You have the end of this exhaustion of constantly feeling like that little side project of myself is over. I'm happy with the is that what it is? Oh my god. Okay. The feminine is the destructive and the creative. It's dual-sided. Right, you've been so focused on what parts of yourself need to be destroyed, what parts of yourself need to be destroyed and modified. That fell off into my hand. This is the 2 of Cups. This is the connection to yourself. Okay. That's the way that you view yourself all the time, is this constant work in progress, which is my bio right now. Okay. But I'm reading myself again. I don't want to be. It's exhausting to constantly look at yourself as a site for demolition. You know, you're not recognizing any of. Sorry, that's really uncomfortable to say. Now I've admitted that I'm reading myself. You're not allowing yourself to recognize that you have really important aspects, really potent aspects that you're not developing. You know, you're spending so much time trying to like literally degrade, like degrade parts of yourself all the time, that you're not focusing on where you have a really clear platform for upgrade. You're not noticing what in your personality can be enhanced and brought forward, and what is innate in you that is also a beautiful gift that you can share. And that's exhausting. That's exhausting. It must be, well, it is exhausting to just carry around a lie and a mask all the time. And there's part of you that knows the lie isn't true, but feels, what's the right word? Feels a fool for trying to take the mask off. Because what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong and you are a bad person underneath? You're probably not. You're probably not. Do you know what I mean? And there are so many things that like you can just decide I'm not, this is why I did this, I didn't like that, I'm not going to do that again, and just move forwards. And it doesn't have to mean something concrete about your character. Yeah, it's about having the boundaries with yourself as well, and knowing when to like cut yourself off and say like I'm not going to allow myself to think about myself in this way. That's cruel, that is callous, and I don't deserve it. And then just move on. Just move on. You have the opportunity to treat yourself with more consideration and kindness. You're asking yourself to grow, but you're punishing yourself through the process. And that will absolutely hinder the feminine. If you only want destruction and you don't want any creation, you will just end up with a void, and you'll be filling that void with contempt, and then you will just get more contempt, because that's what you'll be cultivating. Well, that makes sense when you put it like that, huh? I hope. Yeah. Ultimately, you have the choice. You have the choice. It is a death transition. It is a death transition, but it gives you the world. It does give you the world. I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I don't think I've ended one of these before, have I? I mean, last time my laptop died. What happened the time before that? I don't know. Regardless, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh dear. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you didn't, I don't know, why are you still here? Don't come back. Bye. Oh my god.